What's up, everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Witcher 2, and last time, well, it seems like our various upgrades to our gear were quite significant, because they... What the heck is that sound? That's concerning. They made the dragon look like a pushover in comparison to what we had last time. Now, we did, of course, choose to spare the dragon. Now, Saskia did naturally, you know, go the... What the heck? Go the route of... Oh, dare I say. Crocodile Hunter. And, did unimpale herself. Is this actually the place where we were earlier? It is. That's where we were always running into the harpies. There's still the dog here. Okay. Like here we would see some gargoyles originally. That'd be ignoring the fact that there are some arrows pointing upward. And then there would be the Temerian area over here-ish. But, now we have Letho that we're expecting to show up, and I'm half expecting him to be like, oh yeah, surprise, by the way, I'm also a dragon. Excuse me? Is that Yorveth? Still moving?
I think he's coming too.
Oh, bollocks.
Oh,
The horse
the first time we haven't seen him with the eye patch on.
Look at that. The cleverest of elven bandits, beaten burnt like ordinary scum.
This is the handiwork of some mage. I'd wager my wife on it.
You shouldn't have taken that trinket. You know they'll ask what he had on him.
And you'll not peep a word. Understand?
Edwenies?
Hey you, piss off. We've got a dangerous prisoner here.
Do you know?
A prisoner? Did you capture him?
None of your concern. Buzz off, freak.
Oh, okay, apparently that is enough.
Any idea what happened to Roach?
Yes, Radovid tried to buy him off. I'm sure you can guess Roach turned him down.
Some
Nice.
things will never change.
Well done,
Temeria
Roach.
might not be on the map of the North much longer, but as long as men like Roach are around, there is hope for its rebirth.
Don't
Okay.
pin that mess on me.
I don't intend to. You asked.
That is true.
I smell a Temerian.
I mean, that's kind of true. There are several people stuck in those briars over there. That's a little concerning. I was half expecting these guys to draw their swords and try to fight us immediately. Apparently that did not happen. There used to be a way in here, but it is now locked. We are in the epilogue now. I meant to mention that earlier, but I was a bit surprised by that because at least in The Witcher 1, as we were mentioning at the end of the last video, there were 5 chapters, if I remember correctly, plus the epilogue, whereas here, there are only 3, so that snuck up on me a little bit, but that would suggest that we are close to being done here. Okay, so I guess we're not doing anything there. This would have been where the Temerian area was, but it appears as though we can't go through there either. Go find Letho. Oh, well, he appears to be in the Temerian area. But it does feel weird that we just walked right past Yorveth, and we're just gonna kind of ignore that for the time being. Out here? Feels like that's the wrong direction. This would normally lead us out of the city, would it not? Let's save here just in case. Oh. Or not. No, one more area that I think I'm forgetting. I feel like... Let's go back here for a second, though. I want to make sure we're not missing anything when we... What's up with all these arrows? This would have been a gargoyle place, but we took care of the gargoyles. I just don't want to be abandoning Yorveth if, in fact, there is anything else we can do here.
I'm warning you for the last time.
We keep on
Enough!
bothering you? Yep. Will this happen? I hope so. Honestly, I hope so. I want Yorveth back. I don't care what you guys say. Prisoner, no prisoner. He's mine. And you don't get to keep him. Hey, Triss, you might not want to stand there like that. Just a thought. Excuse me. Oh, I didn't realize we could knock that stuff down. Okay. That may be everyone
Wanna
there.
tell me what that was about?
It's Yorvith. I owed him that much.
I guess I missed quite a bit.
Yeah, you kind of did.
Yeah. Can you help him?
I'm sorry, Geralt.
Chris.
This was high magic. Treating him will take time, maybe months.
I'm gonna miss the Kingslayer again. Stay with him, Triss. I'll be back for you when this is over.
Geralt.
This is
Yeah.
between me and him.
You don't have to.
I do. He knows how I lost my memory.
The magic shield came down when the deliberations ended. I'll teleport Yorveth out of here, far away to Vergen.
All right.
Take care of yourself.
Thanks, Triss. Okay, yes, and I'm glad that we did end up doing that in that case. I'm not sure. I mean, presumably, Yorveth would have been left here for dead had we not done that. That's the least we could have done, right? Remove these guys. Ones that we just took out. Kinda, sorta. Might not have it. Oh, Philippa Eilhart's dagger? Excuse me? Let's investigate that a little bit further in just a second. They've established it looks like there might be one more set of loot here, because I do see the red dot showing up on the minimap, like, right on top of us. I thought at one point we determined means that loot from one of the remaining enemies is here, but okay. I think most importantly, we got not this. Damage. It's actually fairly low. It's bleeding. But it does say quest item. Okay. My guess is that, yeah, if we had chosen to side with Philippa rather than Triss way back in the prison, then she probably would have given us this at some point, or we would have found a way to get it at some point. No idea if it actually serves us any purpose at this point or not, but we have it, at the very least. So let's save here now that we know that we have successfully, I think, done something to help Yorvith. This was not where the Kedwenis were earlier. This was firmly Temerian territory. That is a little strange. But I suppose, after all the chaos that ensued here, the dragon attacking and everything else, that's maybe not terribly surprising. What about these guys, though? What are you doing? More fires? Are you going to fight us, or
This is no place for witches.
we come in peace?
Though I know you and you appear wherever something important happens.
True, though sometimes by accident.
And this time, also a coincidence?
Let's say I have something to take care of.
In that case, hurry. Once we're done cleaning up this mess created by the royal soldiery, Loch Muin will be magically sealed.
Getting out of here?
Temporarily. We shall return soon enough to rebuild the city. Loch Muin will regain its former glory. Until that time, we need to keep the treasure hunters and troublemakers out.
So Radovid trusts you?
We shall win His Royal Majesty's trust by delivering Sheila de Tansarville and the other traitresses from the lodge.
That could take a while. Sheila's fled Loch Muin via Megascope.
We have time. She cannot hide forever. Sooner or later, she will be ours. Forgive me, I must attend to some matters. And don't dawdle. The city will be sealed in 1 hour.
Don't know if that's actually legit. Okay. For a second I thought they were attacking us. I don't think they are. I don't actually know what group those people belong to. That guy that we were just talking to was in the whole peace talks and was one of the central figures there, kind of the moderator, if you will. Largely useless items, but take them, because why not? Well, how do we actually get through to the area that Yorvith is in that case? I was assuming that we'd go in this way. But we cannot. I don't think we can... Can't chop our way through. Can we igni past it? I doubt it. Yeah, okay. So apparently there is another way around somewhere. Oh, perhaps through this large gate that goes straight to where Yorvith, or rather Letho is? Yeah, it's probably that. Yeah, but those guys were kind of one of the central figures, or that specifically, that guy we were talking to was sort of the moderator of those peace treaties, but I don't know which group he was technically coming from, which state, and saying he was trying to get Radovid's support, and Radovid is, of course, leader of Verdania. Okay, here is our good old pal, though, Letho. So, let's maybe take a second here. Let the music kick in. And possibly look at if there are any, you know, like, last-minute upgrades we might want to do. Because I'm assuming there's only one way this can end, right? This guy is, not going to be terribly... Well, I guess I was going to say not going to be terribly happy to see us, but then again, he did ask to see us. I think actually what we want to do is... I think we have a skill point. We must have gotten one from... gotten a level from defeating the dragon. And so if we are to take one more point here, I assume this will be our last skill point of the game. What would we like to take? Additional 75 vitality. Seems like that might be a decent idea. Chance for critical effects, maybe. Additional 10% chance. That might be half decent. However, not sure if that's the type of thing that you want to be relying on for what I assume could be a very difficult fight against him. An additional vigor is nothing super flashy, but is useful. And if we think back to Flotsam when, gosh, is that the last time we saw Letho? I think we've seen him since we fought him in Flotsam. We've heard of him fleeing with Triss to Vergen, and we haven't actually seen him since, so a lot has happened since we last saw him as well. But, I think this might be the best way to go, because if we remember back to when we did fight him in Flotsam, we basically just spammed him with Ard after Ard after Ard, and got in a few sword swings while he was knocked back, and that was pretty much the only way in which we were able to deal any significant damage to him. So, assuming that things will go similarly this time, I think that is the way to go. Just give us a little bit more ammunition on the sign front, all that. And then, so that's our skill point. Why don't we also take a second to meditate, if we can. Hey, Letho, don't mind us. Just give us a minute here. Drink some potions, perhaps, because I do think we had some that were running for a little while there that were left over from the dragon fight, but I think they more or less all expired on our way over to Letho as we were talking to other people and fighting those other Kedwennies. So, getting some vitality regeneration and vigor regeneration is probably not a bad idea. That might be the best way to go here, and then other than that, I'm not sure there's too much that is particularly relevant that we at least have ready to go. So I think we do those. We do have that whetstone there with 1 minute left of duration. That's probably going to expire before we actually talk to Letho here. Anticipate. Or, well, by the time we actually get to fighting him, on the assumption that he probably has some sort of dramatic conversation to have with us. But anyways, here goes nothing. What'll it be, Letho? What are you tossing? Flipping a coin? Doing your Two-Face impression? Some kind of jewel? Magic stone? What is that?
Took you a while? Is that bauble from Sheila's megascope?
Ah!
My final prank. I switched the diamonds. The one in the megascope has a flaw. Minute. But just large enough to warp the teleport. The Emperor's magic theorists assured me the effect would be spectacular.
I let her escape.
Emperor?
You're
Yep.
heartless.
I would suggest
You've no idea
Nilfgaard.
what the royal witch hunters have in store for her. A lot of pain for a long time.
I don't doubt it. So, ready to lay your cards out on the table?
Supposedly you're with Nilfgaard, but I don't know how much I believe that.
When all the players need to show their cards. I love that moment. But first,
First?
vodka.
What? Huh? Okay, well, let's just back this up a little bit here. So, yes, it's been a while since we last saw Letho, and at first, we obviously knew that he killed the King of Edirn, Demiven, and obviously we witnessed him assassinating Foltest from Temeria, and we later heard that he was getting orders from Sheila, and we assumed that that was probably for both kings. Then Sheila and the Lodge of Sorceresses tried to suggest that it was only really Foltest, or rather, only really Demavend, that they wanted him to assassinate, and that he kind of went off the rails a little bit, and also took out Foltest when they weren't expecting him to do that. And then Sheila tried to say that that was because he was really with the Nilfgaardians, and the Nilfgaardians were the ones that told him to kill Foltest. He did just make a reference to Nilfgaard there, with the Emperor, because that's the name of the leader of Nilfgaard, rather than a king. So I was kind of skeptical. That seemed like that was a convenient excuse, a convenient way to shift blame from the sorceresses over to Nilfgaard. So I wasn't sure how much I believed it, but the fact that he did just reference them there does maybe suggest that that could be at least somewhat true. He does definitely have a lot of cards that he has yet to show us, so let's pass on the vodka, if he will let us.
I only drink with friends.
Ouch.
What about old acquaintances? Eh? Recovered your memory yet?
A bit.
Not entirely.
Remember how we first met?
Yeah, I saved your life. Couldn't think of a nicer way to pay me back.
Thanks, man.
Frankly, I couldn't. I mean, taking care of another man's woman, Yennefer. I can't fathom what you saw in her, but I suppose there's no accounting for taste.
You saying Yennefer's your woman?
The winter solstice, 1270. Middenvern, the night of magic. Letho wasn't lying, the hunt had stopped. At the Hanged Man's Tree, the spectral riders selected from among those they had taken. Yennefer was among them. A wraith cannot be killed, only driven away. Every witcher knows that. Yet the riders fell beneath the blows of our witcher's blades. Crimson blood flowed from under their dead men's armor. We could not kill them all. They were simply too many. A stalemate. He was different from all other elves. There was no shame in his gaze. He had never suffered persecution. He had endured no massacres. Humans had not taken his land. This elf was not of this world. He was an invader. We struck a deal. My soul for that of Yennefer. He agreed without hesitation.
What? Why would you deal Geralt for Yennefer?
Back with me, friend. Got the feeling you left for a minute.
Yeah, it's kind of true.
Remember the Hanged Man's Tree and the Wild Hunt. Remember the exchange. Me for Yennefer.
So, cards out on the table. Unless you chase me all that way just to kill me.
I'm assuming let's finish this would mean, like, let's fight, but I feel like there are many, many more things we have not yet sorted out here.
I chased you for lots of reasons. You owe me some explanations to start with.
Let's say I do.
Okay, so lots of stuff here. Lots of stuff here. I am not sure. There is a chance. I'm thinking back to, like, when we were talking to the Golem a while back. If we ask the wrong questions, we might end up messing this up and go straight into a fight here and not get some of the responses we're looking for. So let's be very mindful of what we're choosing here. So Yennefer, tell me what happened to her. I'm very curious because we keep on hearing her name float around. Clearly she is a central figure to much of what happened in our past and a very powerful person, because why would we be exchanging us for her? She's important. That much is clear. What exactly her role is, not entirely clear. Oh, also Sheila did suggest that Yennefer is currently in Nilfgaard. Riders of the Hunt. Do you know who they are? Important, but maybe not quite as important, at least from what I can tell. Yes, obviously that's also been a central figure in our story as well. Why did you become an Imperial spy? Also interesting. Why did you wait for me? What was this all about? What was the aim? I think we do start with Yennefer, but so many of these are things that we've been wondering for a very long time.
Tell me about Yennefer. What happened after I departed?
She was feverish for several days. Delirious. In agony. We thought that was it. She was on her way out. Somehow she recovered. But even then she was disoriented. Amnesia like you.
What then?
Well, the woman turned out to be quite a character. Throwing temper tantrums, trying to seduce orcs, trying to drive a wedge between us. After you so nobly sacrificed
Oh, so we sacrificed ourselves for
thought
her.
it'd be
Okay,
dumb
gotcha.
just to leave her somewhere. She wouldn't have survived more than a month. The whims and vigor of a duchess, but she was just a sorceress with no memory. We were in the heart of the Empire. And as I'm sure you know, Geralt, in Nilfgaard, mages who behave like that either drop their bad habits quickly, or are drawn and quartered by horses in the middle of Victory Square.
Oh.
So I heard.
So we set out, wandered through the provinces. Everywhere we went, she got in trouble and we pulled her out. And then one day they captured us. The Imperial Secret Police. Me, Og, Sarah, and Yennefer.
Imperial Secret Police.
Well, it's quite a name they have there.
We were separated and they questioned us. Long and thoroughly. But it was uneventful. No violence. That's how I met Vatia Derrido. A couple of weeks later, the Emperor himself. Me. A simple witcher.
What happened to Yennefer?
I don't know. Never saw her again. The Emperor offered me a mission in the Northern Kingdoms. As for Yennefer, I had the feeling she was somehow important to him.
Emmer is the
I
Emperor as well, I
see
think. That's his
They
name.
learned of the Lodge from her. Those Imperial spooks have their ways. All I heard is that Vatir had his men watch Yennefer closely throughout the time she was at the palace. Then we went off to slay the kings of the north. That's where my knowledge ends.
So she's in the Empire.
She was when I left.
Okay. Okay. So, we sacrificed ourselves for Yennefer. Let's get that one straight first and foremost. Then, she was in Nilfgaard with Letho and the other people who eventually became the Kingslayers. And Nilfgaard were watching over her closely because they may have gotten word of the Lodge of Sorceresses suggesting that maybe Yennefer is actually the one behind all of that. She may have been running things from afar, or at least been one of the thought leaders that helped create the group. And she's still there now, at least so we think. Also, just as an aside, Letho's accent is really strange. Feels like it has little bits of Australian and then southern US mixed in, and... Anyways, okay. Back to the important stuff. I think the hunt is probably next on the list.
How did you know where we'd find the Wild Hunt?
Every witcher who wears the viper around his neck knows the place.
Huh?
We
What?
had so many books and scrolls about the hunt that I used to think our school was founded for the very purpose of solving the riddle of the spectral riders.
We don't know much about the School of the Viper for the
The
Witchers.
true identities of the Riders.
From what I understand, there's some damn elven race. But they turned out to be a big ruse. The legendary omen of war proved to be a fairground attraction.
No Market Square mage could possibly conjure up a cavalcade of wraiths speeding across the sky. Then there's the amnesia. No, there's something more, I assure you.
Go ahead, enlighten me. I can tell you one.
There are a lot of legends and myths about it, but the Wild Hunt is a fact. I've fought and killed many of its wraiths. They were spectral emanations, the avatars of real riders. The riders we ran into by the Hanged Man's Tree.
Are you telling me you were carried off by elves? Real material sons of bitches like the ordinary kind we deal with in this world?
They may be ordinary in their world, but they're strangers in ours. The conjunction of spheres. Know the theory? Do you know how monsters appeared in our world?
There's not a witcher who doesn't know that.
So you know there are other spheres. The most powerful of our mages can open passages between these worlds, and they usually do that to summon the monsters we then have to hunt. The elves we saw come from another world, and they weren't summoned. They found the way on their own. It's not exactly easy, so they usually send their spectral emanations. They come in person on special missions.
As they did for you and Yennefer. So elves from another world and their trained wraiths. What do they want from you?
I've got an idea, but that's not your concern.
Oh, okay, playing our cards close to our chest. I assume that has to do with how supposedly we were one of the only people to become a member of the Wild Hunt and then survive? Which, the way in which that happens, I would think, presumably would have been in that exchange with Yennefer, or for Yennefer, where we sacrificed ourselves. That's probably what turned us into a member of the Wild Hunt. Okay, and this is a loaded question. I feel like if anything were to set him off and make this a little bit less of a peaceful talk, it might be this question. So I'm hesitant to go here, maybe along with this. Let's give it a
How
shot.
did a witcher agree to kill humans at another human's bidding?
At the Emperor's bidding, Geralt. And he's no ordinary human. The rulers of the North come up to about where his police end.
Why?
Simple. He promised to rebuild the School of the Viper.
Huh?
The Witcher's order where I came to be.
Yeah.
Witcher's schools in the south fell into ruin long ago. And Witchers themselves became internal exiles, banned from entering most cities. Besides Seret and Ox, I know of 2 other Witchers of the School of the Viper who should be alive and on the path. I don't know where they are. Haven't seen them for years. Now they can come out of hiding. They can come home.
Okay, so you're originally from the south. That's apparently where the School of the Viper is. I don't think we ever knew specifically where it was. And your deal with Nilfgaard was basically, you help them, they'll help rebuild the School of the Viper and bring the Witchers in the south back into the good graces of society so that you don't have to live as exiles. Okay, suppose that makes some sense. But how do we tie into that for you? We obviously have a bit of history between the two of us where we saved Letho's life, and then he helped us find the Wild Hunt, but then why continue to seek us out?
Why are you still here? Why did you wait for me this time?
I knew you wouldn't give up. I knew you'd pursue me. And I don't aim to hide anymore. Fact is, only you know the truth about me. Well, and a couple of folks whose word isn't worth spit anymore. I never saw you as a foe. I want to go my way. But if I have to fight you first, so be it. This story ends here and now.
Oh, okay, that might be the last question we had. Okay, nope, okay. That certainly sounded like a final ultimatum. Fight or no fight. But let's get his overall opinion on this. Why? What's the aim?
Can't tell what it was all about.
Kill as many rulers as we could. Lay the blame on the sorceresses. Breed chaos. Prepare the North. Soften it before the invasion.
Make it easy for
You know
Nilfgaard to
what's
invade.
Incredible. We could not have imagined more fertile soil. No matter what the war's outcome, the northern monarchs will accuse one another. Pursue their God-given rights. Seek vengeance and be at each other's throats for years to come. The North resembles a whorehouse on fire, as your friend Dandelion would say.
What do you know about Dandelion? I want to know both of these things. Let's see. If we only get the chance to pick one, though, what would we prioritize? Just in case we don't get the chance to ask them both. So I'm still curious about the assassination specifically. I mean, I feel like we have a pretty good sense what the idea is there. Yes, he was directed to take out Demavend and Foltest in order to weaken the North so that Nilfgaard could come in and more easily take over. That all makes sense, and he just so happened to be the one to do the dirty work, along with some help from his other assassins of kings that we know a little less about, but presumably were doing similar things. This is a lot more general. Feel like if we had to pick between these two, I would probably go this way in case there's other pieces that we just have no idea about. Oh, never mind. No! No, in that case. No, I wanted to go. No, this just brings us back. Okay, hold on. Let's try this again.
Kill as many rulers as we could.
Okay, hold
Lay
on.
the blame on the sorceresses. Breed chaos.
Yes, we've heard this.
Prepare the north. Soften it before the invasion. And you know
Or
what's
Nilfgaard's
in
invasion, makes sense.
We could not have imagined.
Yep, everyone in the north just wants to take each other out. Makes sense.
The northern monarchs
Certainly saw plenty of fighting between them.
pursue their God-given rights.
Just think about the peace treaty.
Be at each other's throats for years to come. The north resembles a whorehouse on fire, as your friend Dandelion would say.
Okay, so now let's ask specifically about this. Oh, whoa! Okay, this is a whole new set of questions here. Okay, it does seem like we may be able to ask all of them, but I still think we ought to be mindful, prioritizing just in case something goes awry here. So, he did certainly have quite a history with Sheila, so that would be important for us to tie, or figure out what exactly that tie was. How do you learn about the Lodge? Similar. How did you kill Demven? I mean, we kind of know. Did you know Foltest would go to the Solar? Yeah, these are minor comparatively. I would definitely prioritize those first two. So you wanted to take over Yorvit's unit. What was the idea? Yeah, that part is a little vague to me, a little gray as to why exactly he sought out Yorvith, and we heard that apparently the plan kind of fell apart. Obviously, Yorvith said that Letho tricked him, and then Yorvith was not so fond of him anymore. We ended up siding with Yorvith, but that's how exactly that came to be. We don't really know the details. Sheila came to Flotsam looking for you. That's very similar, I would assume, to how he found Sheila. Failed to slay Henselt. Do we know that he ever specifically tried to go after Henselt? I mean, if anything, we were the ones that came closest to doing that. Yennefer and the Wild Hunt, also very important. We did ask him a bit about that. Man, so many important questions here. I think we start with Sheila.
How did you manage to contact Sheila?
It wasn't a problem once I learned of the Lodge's existence. Initially, she watched my every move. But sooner or later, everyone starts treating me like a big oaf. I mean, I can't change how I look. I stayed close to Sheila, killed a few beasts for her, and whined about how unhappy I was, how unfair the world was. So much, in fact, that I actually got her gander up a few times. I made sure a few potentially trustworthy witnesses saw us together, could link us. Security in case I was captured.
Huh.
I also prepared to assassinate the King of Kavir.
Oh, of course, her
Esterad
leader.
Tyson was to be the first victim of the mysterious assassins.
Really?
But before I could do the dirty deed, Sheila asked me to slay Demavend. The gods had smiled upon me. I couldn't believe my luck. Here I'd been trying to figure out how to frame Sheila, and now all I needed was to carry out her orders and follow through.
It is convenient for him. So we haven't heard much of Kovir. It is supposedly in the north as well, although I think not close enough to the Temerias, Redanias, and Kedwins, and Edderns of the world for them to be directly involved in these talks, even though that is supposedly where Sheila did originally come from. So let's continue with the Sheila theme, perhaps.
So Sheila was looking for you when she came to Flotsam.
Mm-hmm. She thought she was still in control and wanted to get rid of me. I bet my eyes that she thought I'd lost my mind, or that Yorveth was manipulating me.
And the North descended deeper into chaos.
Exactly. There was just one problem. You. I could have killed you in the Elven ruins. Thing is, you weren't really my enemy.
Huh? Okay, I do wonder if maybe by skipping around a little bit, we might want to just go in order here, and we might be missing a little bit of extra context, so maybe let's just go down one after the other.
Where'd you get your information about the lodge?
From the Emperor and Gratier de Rideau, the Emperor's chief spy. And I believe they got it out of Yennefer.
She recovered her memory.
Nah, I'd never claim she informed on her friends consciously. I expect they found a way to tap into her memory in spite of her amnesia.
Wow.
And without her knowing it. There was a sorcerer present when I was questioned. A young, proud intelligence officer.
Cynthia?
Whatever the case, they gave me a list of the sorceresses in the lodge. Only Emir, Vatier, and I were present. Only we knew of the mission.
Okay. The mission there being the assassination attempts of the leaders, or something more directly having to do with the sorceresses?
How do you manage to slay Demavend?
Sheila's magic. I mean, she
Really?
could give us the king's every move. His habits, the positions of the palace guards, anything. All we had to do was navigate the labyrinth and land the final blow. Besides, she had plenty of gold for the preparations. Greased palms abundantly. It had all the makings of a cakewalk. But it's never that easy. We barely avoided our pursuers. And we wouldn't have if not for Yorveth's Scoia'tael.
Really?
Another of Sheila's ideas. With Yorveth's elves, not only did we cut down Demavend, but traveling with them put us out of the lodge's reach. We could calmly plan Foltest's and Hensel's assassinations.
Hold on. I feel like I'm missing something there. So I thought that he had already killed Demavend before he met up with Yorveth and the Scoia'tael. But you're saying that Yorveth and the Scoia'tael actually helped you take out Demavend. Okay. Maybe the king that we saw in the very beginning? The one that shows in, like, the intro sequence is not actually Demavend? I always assumed that it was. The one that we saw Letho kill on the boat, but he was just saying going through a labyrinth, and that certainly doesn't seem like what he did in that instance. So maybe that was just a totally different scenario that we saw earlier, and I was linking things that were not actually connected. But okay, so that is how you actually got value out of that partnership with Yorveth. Okay, that makes some sense. But you also wanted to make sure that the Lodge of Sorceresses didn't catch on, because although they did want you to take out Demavend, you were also starting to plan your assassination attempts for Henselt and Foltest. So, okay.
How did you know
So then
Foltest would come to
Foltest.
the monastery solar?
Yorveth and I planned Foltest's murder.
Yorveth as
King
well.
of Temeria would have to deal with a lot of that sooner or later, and he made no secret of it. I was sure he'd want to recover his bastard children in the process. And where do they take the children when a castle's under siege? I had to become a monk, but I couldn't just arrive at the monastery and claim I'd seen the light. Not very believable. So one of Arion's patrols out in the forests happened on a Scoia'tael unit torturing a helpless monk. Arion's brave men drove off the elves, and I found shelter in the monastery.
No one noticed you had no wounds?
I paid the monk who treated me a lot of orange to stay silent. Actually, it was only a loan, because I killed him later.
Oh,
Only the dead can keep a secret. Then all I had to do was wait for the situation to develop. When I saw you enter the chamber with Foltest, I thought I might fail. Luckily, you failed. To recognize an old friend.
thanks. Thanks for framing us, man. I mean, that was kind of your plan across the board. Assassinate all these people, and then frame us, frame the sorceresses, possibly even framing Yorveth. I'm not sure we've necessarily heard you say that outright, but based on how we hear that Yorveth was actually helping you with multiple of these assassinations, and then we heard Yorveth say that you were deceiving him, I'm guessing that's ultimately what came of that relationship.
When did you decide to get rid of Yorveth?
As soon as I realized I couldn't manipulate him, I true fox, that one. He was so observant, so dangerous. I got the sense he might see through me at any moment.
You made a mistake. You were untouchable as long as the Scoia'tael were protecting you.
Maybe, but with Yorveth, my hands were tied. If I'd finished off Kieran...
But you didn't. And that allowed me to drive a wedge between you and Yorveth. I forced you to flee.
And I let you live. You know I could have killed you. You're forgetting.
No, I remember.
We were beating you up, thank you very much. But yes, so, let's see. In that case, Letho is saying that there was one member of the Scoia'tael who might have been, I think, Yorveth's right-hand man, sort of the second in charge, and Letho attacked him, almost took him out, but not quite, and that's the guy who we saw on the boat, talked to, and got some additional information. That's where we learned that Letho was not being as upfront with Yorveth as Letho was leading Yorveth to believe. And were we ultimately the one that let Letho know that he was being deceived? I don't know, it was a while ago. But I guess that was ultimately what brought Yorveth onto our side and not Letho's. That's okay. Interesting dynamic there. I feel like I may have not fully pieced that together. But then Henselt, yeah, I still don't really remember hearing of any attempt for him to slay Henselt. Other than, obviously, after going to Flotsam, Letho asked for Triss to teleport him to Bergen, where, presumably, that's probably where he was assuming he would take out Henselt, and maybe even Saskia, maybe even Stennis. So there were a lot of leaders there at that point in time. So I suppose, short of this Lochmoyne peace treaty location, that was probably the most concentrated area of rulers. Best place for someone of his line of work to go to business.
You screwed up with Henselt.
That's one way to phrase it.
First off, we got holed up in that hideout in the ravines. Then Sheila showed up and started watching Henselt like he was her own ass. By that time, his death was no longer necessary. Fate had smiled upon us again. I learned of the summit and the efforts to reconstitute the council and conclave. The ideal setting for the mission's grand finale.
Okay. Let's see. So yes, obviously, like I was just saying, there were several leaders in the Vergen area, but there were even more here in Lochmoyne. So once you heard of Lochmoyne, that this was going to happen, you're like, okay, we can wait. We'll just settle for Lochmoyne, where it will be even better circumstances for us to do what we came here to do. That makes sense. But I know you were just saying you were working somewhat with the Lodge of Sorceresses, and your goals were similar, and that you wanted to take out some of the leaders. But this did really seem like it was mostly the Lodge of Sorceresses who did this stuff, namely mind-controlling Saskia, having Saskia torch the entire city. Because that was all Philippa and, a little more indirectly, Sheila. But we haven't really seen any way in which you were directly involved in that. So, unless... yeah, that just still seems a little weird. So it's not like you really did anything here, quite frankly. You didn't kill anyone here. As far as I know, Radovid is still alive. Stennis may have ultimately come here, but is still alive. Saskia, obviously we were dealing with her for the most part, but from what we can tell, she's still alive. So, in many ways, you failed here as well. Other than just, I suppose you did succeed in causing additional chaos in the north. You certainly did that, but not through assassinating any further kings, so that seems a little bit odd, a little bit at odds with what your goal, I'm assuming, was. Okay, so we did ask everything about the hunt and Yennefer, so I guess that's everything, and so all we have left is this, and I'm not sure if this is gonna immediately lead to us drawing swords and facing off, or if there's anything else.
Done talking. Let's finish this. vodka left in that bottle?
A swig apiece. Here.
Thanks? I guess?
The Imperial army is probably crossing the Yaruga as we speak. Pure pandemonium will ensue. The North's finished. Time to go south, where the good life awaits.
You're a fool, Letho. Both you and your Emperor are forgetting one thing. Misfortune brings people together. Very shortly, the North could be united like never before, thanks to you.
Well, I suppose that
Not my concern
would
anymore.
be possible.
I'm not your foe. I never was. Let me walk away and I will. You'll never see me again. Force me to fight, and this time I'll kill you.
Okay. So, that's quite a question. Okay, so we can fight him. And in that case, this time, as he's stating, it appears that it would be to the death. And we could get rid of him for good this time. We can let him go. Says he'll go south. Says he'll disappear, we'll never see him again. I mean, he is, obviously, he's an assassin. So even if we were to let him go, even if he were to disappear, presumably, he'd still be doing some dastardly deeds down south. But, I don't know. I mean, my general thought process, and this is sort of what the same rule of thumb that I applied when we saw Sheila earlier with the tampered with portal creator thingy, whatever it was called. Generally speaking, if we can avoid killing people, I do tend to prefer to avoid killing people, because I feel as though there are good reasons to keep people alive and see if that might benefit us in the future, if we can get more information out of them, like say, if we killed Letho initially, obviously that wasn't an option, but if we fought him to the death in Flotsam, we would have never known any of this stuff, and he just dropped some huge hints, secrets, whatever you want to call them, on us, and would have been very different had we not had that information. So that's the type of thing that I feel as though is very important for us to try to continue to collect. And now obviously he's saying he'll disappear and we'll never see him again, which would suggest that on this occasion we might not be able to get that type of information from him again. So, I mean, of all the people who deserve mercy, he's probably not very high on that list. But I feel like we should still let him go. I can't give you a hard and fast reason why, because like I said, he's probably still going to be up to no good, and we're probably not going to get much benefit out of him, keeping him alive. But I think is that, that's okay. That's the difference between him and us, right? Is that we are reasonable. We will spare people. We don't solely resolve things with violence and death and murder. We can choose peace the way that he cannot. So I think for that reason, we spare him and choose not to fight.
I've learned all I wanted to know. I can feel the memories coming back. Your death won't change a thing. Go where you will.
Just like that. No threats. No words of wisdom.
You going or not?
Farewell, Geralt.
Bye-bye! Geralt, maybe don't turn your back on him when you're still within a sword swing's distance. Someone is watching us from above here. As for who that is, I don't know. We know Philippa can't see. Presumably it's not Philippa. Could have been Triss, maybe, possibly, but I don't know about that. What's up? Well, yeah, just use the crank thing. Okay. Well, that was charming. Insert symbol of life. Metaphor for life and rebirth after a burning city. Death and chaos. A symbolic note.
The Witcher had traveled far and wide in search of the Kingslayers. Along the way, he had met both the righteous and scoundrels, Bernard Laredo amongst the latter. Laredo sold Flotsam to Kedwin and scattered the local non-humans to the four winds. Flotsam became a military base. Its civilian population was resettled. In Edirn, the Witcher witnessed Saskia the Dragonslayer achieve a great victory. The Pontar Valley, previously Upper Edirn, became a promised land for outcasts who dared dream of freedom. Even sly old Zoltan Chive came to believe in this land of bliss. Yet dark times approached for the architects of the New Order. Dark clouds have been gathering over Temeria since Foltest's death. Stripped of its king, the land was like a rich cloth which nobles began to shred. These minor scavengers, however, scurried off in fear when true predators reached out for their prize. The summit at Loch Muin sealed the fate of Foltest's realm, when Radovid of Redania and Henselt of Kedwin divided it between them. Years before, Geralt of Rivia had witnessed the fall of the Council and Conclave of Mages. The summit in Loch Muin re-established both bodies, their founders sacrificing Sheila de Tanzerville and her accomplices. Yet Radovid also required humility and loyalty from the proud mages, but this did not sit well with all of them. It was a time of great uncertainty, of rape accomplished by royal decree. Yet as troubled as the days seemed, we, who had in some way shaped the world's fate, finally received some respite.
All right, and that is it. The Witcher 2. So we faced a lot of big decisions there. I don't know if that'll come back to haunt us if we chose to keep Letho alive or not. But alas, it's done. And ultimately, I mean, there's only one thing left to do, right? We've got The Witcher 3 coming up. So I'm sure we'll be trying that stuff out soon. And I'm excited to give it a go. So for everyone who has watched the Witcher 2 series, thank you all. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will see you in the next one.